I don't know what happened, but my computer went crazy there for a moment and I disappeared off the screen. Now it seems to be working, but can you folks hear me all right?
You're back.
Okay, good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Just the three of us tonight, eh?
We're it.
Hey, Mr. Chair, we're now live streaming on YouTube.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill. I would ask that we start this evening's meeting with the reading of the preamble, please.
Today's Committee of Adjustment meeting is hereby held as an electronic meeting in light of the current COVID-19 emergency. The COVID-19 emergency is the emergency declared by the Province of Ontario pursuant to Order in Council 518-2020, Ontario Regulation 5020 on March 17th, 2020, and by the City of Richmond Hill on March 20th, 2020, under the provisions of Section 701 and Section 41 of the Emergency Management and Civil Protection Act. The Committee of Adjustment is authorized to hold this meeting electronically as a tribunal under the Statutory Powers and Procedures Act, in accordance with the Hearings and Tribunal Proceedings Temporary Measures Act. Due to efforts to contain the spread of COVID-19 and to protect all individuals, city facilities are not presently open to the public to attend Committee of Adjustment meetings. The Committee of Adjustment for the City of Richmond Hill has been appointed by Council to consider applications for minor variance and consent in accordance with the Planning Act. The committee's decision may be appealed to the Ontario Land Tribunal. All appeals and associated fees must be filed directly with the Secretary-Treasurer in accordance with the Planning Act. To be notified of an Ontario Land Tribunal hearing, you must request a copy of the committee's decision in writing. Written comments. The public may submit written correspondence regarding agenda matters by email to committeeofadjustment@richmondhill.ca. All written correspondence received by 4:30 p.m. today has been provided to the committee members electronically. Electronic delegations. Delegates are reminded to please mute your microphone or phone and turn off video until it is your turn to speak. Please make sure your microphone is not muted when you do begin speaking. If members do not have questions or after all questions have been asked, your delegation is over. Please sign off of Zoom or hang up the phone once the committee has made a decision on your application. You can watch the rest of our meeting on our live stream, and the clerk may remove any delegate who does not sign off of Zoom.
Thank you. Our Secretary Treasurer is Mrs. Jamie Hope Herman. Our Assistant Secretary Treasurer is Ms. Linda Asikas. And assisting us this evening from our Planning Department is Ms. Simone Fiore. Do we have any conflicts of interest this evening, gentlemen? I see none. And do we have any requests for adjournment or withdrawals?
Hey, Mr. Chair, we have none.
In that case, I'll call our first application. Our first application is A053/21 at 420 Highway 7 East. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Hey, Mr. Chair, we received a comment letter from the TRCA on October 21st, 2021.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of committee. My name is Christine Hallis. I'm with KLM Planning Partners Incorporated, representing Fontana Development Limited with respect to this application before you. The lands are located at 420 Highway 7 and are known as Dawn-Crest Marketplace. They do host a commercial plaza currently. We've reviewed the staff report and have no further comments. We've also received the correspondence from the TRCA and have no objections.
Good. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 420 Highway 7 East?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do you have any further comments from our planning department?
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
And gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? I see none. I would ask then for a motion, please. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move that minor variance application A053/21 at 420 Highway 7 East be approved, subject to the terms and conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see three hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Our next application is application A055/21 at 4 Maryland Drive. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Okay, Mr. Chair, we do not.
And our applicant.
Sorry, what's the number of the 550? I just disconnect and reconnect right now.
We're calling for 055/21 at 4 Maryland Drive.
Yeah, it's me. Sorry. Okay, yeah, this is it's first time for me for this committee, so I think I should explain the work. Actually, this is a bungalow with the side, side yard as more than enough for the one-story building, but less than required for two-story. So my request is because I want to build another level on top of this, and the building footprint doesn't change. It's everything remain as is, just one level at top, just addition actually. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So this is all about my request for minor adjustment. Just I want to keep this side yard as is, because the building footprint doesn't touch; it remain as is. And I just want to add another floor on top of the bungalow.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 4 Maryland Drive?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from planning?
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Gentlemen, comments, concerns, questions? I see none. I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to raise a motion to approve item B, minor variance application A055/21 at 4 Maryland Drive, subject the conditions in the city staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? I see three hands. It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Our next application is application A060/21 at 57 King Road. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes. We received a comment letter from the TRCA October 21st, 2021, and we did receive a letter of objection from the owners of 12960 Young Street, October 28th, 2021.
Thank you. And our applicant.
It's Alex Kuchumar from AECOM.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Just want to present to the committee that the application and the minor variance, it's for a new modern facility. It's an air management facility, which will address the current odor emissions on the area and Oak Ridges. Those situations have been identified by the public and the stakeholders for many, many years. Now the design of this modern facility. It's completed, and this is going to eliminate the odor emissions. It's going to improve the air quality on the area, and is going to benefit to public stakeholders, businesses, and as I said, it's going to mitigate any further future odor emissions on that area. The reason we're asking for this minor is just because the building footprint required to accommodate the new technology for the air treatment. It's designed to the minimum possible footprint, and we're asking at yard setback on the south and minimum yard setback. So just to permit the building is construction, and also to allow the fire trucks route and any other accessory service and maintenance and the parking.
Thank you.
And
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to say that the design has been reviewed by multiple regulatory organizations, the Ministry of the Environment and Conservation Parks. They reviewed the performance, and we didn't get any concerns from the regulatory authorities on this new installation. So we have a site plan was submitted. We address all the comments from the City of Richmond staff, and it's a minor variance that we are requesting.
Thank you very much. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 57 King Road?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have Brad, who is representing the owners of 12960 Yonge Street.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Mr. Chair, I just want to know how much time, I haven't been before your committee recently. How much time do you usually afford deputants?
Well, sorry. Normally it's around 5 minutes. Why? Did you have something major you wanted to present to us?
No, 5 minutes will be more than enough. Thank you. I just didn't want to overstay my welcome. So I'm the lawyer for Initial E Molicon Realty Limited. They own the property at 12960 Yonge Street. My client's property is directly south and east of the Region's property, and we object to the application in its entirety. I submitted a letter to the committee last night. Hopefully you've had you and the members of the committee have had a chance to review it. I just want to say at the outset, this is an air management facility. That's what it's called, but its function is to divert odors from the local sanitary sewer system across my client's property by an underground pipe into this facility. So our major concern is the potential for odor affecting the tenants in my client's property. So our property is a retail commercial center with a bakery, restaurant, and as well as other tenants, but in particular, a childcare center that serves children with special needs. The Regions project, we think, will be problematic because of the potential for odor. The requested variances to the side yard and rear yard will impact my client's property in its current use, as well as it'll limit its redevelopment potential. Abutting the eastern limit of the Region's facility is where my client's tenant, the child care center, is located. It comprises about 3,500 square feet, and that child care center recently renewed its lease to May of 2026. Odors from this facility, our concern is, will render the child care center essentially unusable right outside the childcare center, opposite this facility, is an outdoor landscaped area that the children use, the kids from the childcare center. So they're directly opposite the facility. Any escape of odors, which is a potential, will render that space, it'll be impossible for the kids to use it. The variances will bring this facility that much closer to the childcare center, as well as the bakery, restaurant. They're sensitive land uses. As far as my client's redevelopment potential is, by reducing the variances on the side yard and rear yard, it brings this building closer to my client's property. So that means the region is effectively trying to transport onto my client's property its requirement and obligation to provide reasonable separation distance between buildings on abutting lands. Between abutting lands. We also understand the region's project will require the destruction of several mature trees. I've been on the property and it's essentially undeveloped now, except for trees. I understand the city's official plan contains policies which encourage the retention of the urban forest canopy, discourages development that requires the destruction of, a large number of mature trees. So there's an issue of conformity with the city's official plan. And also directly, this hasn't been mentioned, but directly west of the facility is established residential housing. And if there is any leak of odors, and I've mentioned there's that potential, it'll be affected as well. So I have two final points. I looked at the staff report, the planning staff report. Although it's recommended approval, I note that their comments, they didn't address in any of the potential for odor or any of the comments I've made. Also, I've looked at the application materials the region submitted, and I didn't see anything that justifies the need for these variances. In other words, I didn't see anything that explained why this project couldn't be built in conformity with the current zoning regulations. It's a large undeveloped parcel, and it's my submission, it could be developed in accordance with those regulations. So based on those comments, it's my respectful submission. The application doesn't satisfy any of the four tests under section 45, particularly having regard to the impact. So it's that means it can't be minor. So we respectfully request that the committee dismiss the application in its entirety. And I'm happy to respond to any questions committee members might have. Those are my submissions. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Then, does anyone else in the audience wish to address this application at 57 King Road?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
For you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Thank you. Before I ask our committee for any further comments, concerns, questions, I wrote down some concerns that were expressed by Mr. Teichman. And one of the things that comes to my mind very strongly is when you object to the use of this property, this is not an issue that the Committee of Adjustment is addressing. We're addressing minor variances is what we're addressing. If you're concerned about the use of the property, this is something you need to bring before council in terms of appropriate zoning and things like that. But as far as we're concerned, I'm not sure that we can address that for you at all this evening. But anyhow, I will ask our committee members if they have any further comments, questions, or concerns. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. To the applicant's agent, you did mention in your presentation that the facility will actually reduce odor. I suspect that probably during construction there might be some odor, but once the facility is completed, it sounds to me like the whole purpose is to clean the air and reduce odor, number one. If you might speak to the facility's noise, because that was a concern in the letter of objection as well. So there was an odor concern and a noise concern that sort of stood out. So if you could speak to that a little bit. I did look at your site plan that has noise attenuation to the adjacent property to the east and south, as well as plantings and a fence for screening. So, but if you would be so kind as to just explain if there would be a lot of noise from this facility, that would be helpful to myself.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I will try to respond to those comments. During the construction, shouldn't be any odor emissions because the building, it's the construction of the building, it's far away from the trunk sewer from which this facility will gonna extract the air and will treat inside of the facility. So it's not gonna be it's no exposed sewage in the AMF site. The trunk sewer is well below the grade. It's in the east side of the Young Street and will not generate any odor during the construction. That's one of the clarification. Regarding the noise, the operation of the facility, we had the same questions from the Minister of the Environment and Conservation Parks question to demonstrate that the operation of the new facility is not gonna create a noise level above the current background noise level. And we demonstrated based on the construction of the building, the equipment would be installed, and the mitigation of the noise, that only noise is the level of the noise generated for this new facility is not going to exceed the current noise levels in the area. So all those being justified in the application to the ministry for the air and noise approval. And that's what the ministry staff review the modeling, all the information, all the equipment selected, the noise and the air quality in everything. And that's they don't have any concerns that this new operation is going to increase the noise level on this area above what it's currently.
Thank you.
I hope those clarification answer to your comments. I hope so. If not, please let me know. We'll try to provide more.
Any further comments, Mr. Duretzi? Mr. Gossi?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd just like to ask the applicant's agent, what was the rationale or the strategic reasoning behind selecting this particular site for this project?
One of the main reasons it's the property. It's owned by the York region, and it's an empty property. It's extremely close located to the trunk sewer, which currently generates odor in the area, and will be the less impacting during the construction, the installation and the implementation. During the EA, we investigated, if I remember correctly, around 13 possible sites for this new facility. We generated the criteria and we evaluated each location, what would be there. And that during the EA, it was identified that the less expensive, because it's the site is owned by the region, but more from the technical point, from the implementation, duration of the construction, efficiency. It's very important to know the location of the extraction to be efficient, because we know exactly what are the current infrastructures that they generate. So we are trying to get closer to those locations that we will control and will mitigate and eventually will maintain the trunk sewer under negative pressure. So it's a lot of considerations being put in here to choose what would be the best place for the new air management facility. And this one was coming the best selection.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to ask a follow-on question. Through your selection process, did you consider and how, what was the priority level of your commercial impact during your selection process? Because it seems that, you know, I live in the area actually, and at King and Yonge, it seems like an area that may, from a commercial perspective, may not be the best location for that. So I just wanted to know, you know, during your selection process, what was the priority on something like that? And did your committee speak to any of the surrounding business owners or property owners to get their input?
Right. We have during the EA, we have meetings. It was a consultation with the stakeholders. I was part of that meeting. Was quite successful. We have a lot of people coming to the review of the options and the selection, and during the EA, and business owners from that area, they attended. There was no really any major concerns raised that this new facility, we already have some rendering showing how it's gonna look. Was no concern that will impact. Actually, it's quite back from the Yonge Street, but the comments, and the Minister of the Environment also reviewed the EA and didn't find any concerns that this new facility will impact the commercial part of the area, business and the owners. So we look at from every single aspect and what would be the implications and how it's going to impact the owners, the commercial facilities, and so we everything was looking that it would not be any adverse impact, and we don't see it's going to be any adverse impact to the current business in the area.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, gentlemen? Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that. One other question to the applicant, if you could maybe speak to why you required the setback in the rear yard. I know that was a comment from the gentleman who wrote the letter, why you could not comply with the 6 meters and went to the 4 meters to the east. Was there a technical reason for that? I noticed that there's a transformer in the front and a few other requirements and turning movements for the vehicles. But if you could speak a little to why you needed that 2 meters, that would be helpful.
I guess the reason we are asking, it's first of all for the rear, it's if we would push the AMF building further to the north, we would not be able. And I don't know. I just provided Simon. We provided a PowerPoint presentation for this committee, and I think if we can show the slides, probably seeing the site plan would be more easy to understand the rationale of asking for this minor variance. I can share my screen if that's okay. Is that the PowerPoint presentation available? Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the PowerPoint presentation is on the screen, Alex.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
I see it.
So can I take a few minutes to explain now this first slide is going to give you an overview of the overall project.
Yeah,
so can I have you?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Through you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize, but I'm actually referring to the rear yard setback, which is adjacent to the existing building. So not to the south, but to the east, which I think is technically the rear yard setback.
Yeah, it's if you
From
go to
12 to 7. Yeah.
the next slide, you're gonna.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, this is the one you're talking about, the one in the rears, right? So
I
this
am,
is
yes.
yeah. This is the MF building. This is the footprint of the building. I guess what I was trying to say, if we can go back to the first slide, I want to the committee to do a very quick technical introduction about the project. It's good to understand what the region is trying to achieve. So you can see it's a wide view showing the relation of this new facility with the Tranxier, which is in the east side of the Young Street, and it's going to be an underground ductwork. It's totally sealed, and it's actually under negative pressure. So all the air inside of this underground duct is under negative pressure and not going to be released any foul air. No, impossible to do because it's a vacuum. So if you go in the left upper corner, you're going to see the duct is going to come into the region side. It's going to be another underground ductwork. Again, everything is totally 100% sealed and gets inside of the building. Inside of the building, the main part of the operation, it's a process area or process room. And we just for the conservative approach that everything it's treated and whatever nothing is left on the air to impact the surrounding environment to the technologies on the treatment of the foul air. One technology, the first cylindrical bioscrubbers, very efficient on hydrogen sulfide. It's one of the concern. And after these bioscrubbers, we added a second stage of treatment, which is a carbon unit. And at the end of this treatment, so are two trains. And the reason why we have two trains, because if one train is going to fail, let's say, the other train is going to treat the air. So we're having all the contingency safety approaches that no foul air or odor to be emitted. Anyway, after the treatment of the air, it's going to be a stack which is going to release to the clean air to the surrounding environment. The operation of these technologies required emergency generator in case of the power failure. So that's keep running the treatment, requires an electrical room, requires a mechanical room. Everything, the footprint of this building, it's done in so a way that to be the minimum possible footprint, which can accommodate the installation of the treatment and the auxiliary equipment as a generator, electrical panels, just to keep the facility in operation. We might, but we need to provide the clearance for the service maintenance. So this one is designed to the minimum possible, just to reduce the footprint. If we go to the next slide, this introduction to understand the first. So now this is the site plan. So here's the building. You can see this one, it shows the route for the fire trucks. So it's going to come from the King Street, is going to travel, let's say, to the east, and to exit the facility is going to back up and it's going to go out. If this building is going to be moved more to the north, and we eventually will prevent, we're not going to achieve the fire truck radius and the access. It's impossible. So we simulated how far, and this is the only optimal location for the building, just to make sure that the route for the fire trucks presents no constraints. They can get in and get out of the site. On this side of the building, we also we have the fuel for the emergency generator. If we move this building more to the north or more to the northwest, eventually is going to impact everything is going to prevent any traffic, any delivery and fuel as other materials. And I said, the fire trucks. So this is the reason we are asking for this one on the rear side, because otherwise it will be impossible especially for the fire trucks to access the building.
Thank you.
Any further questions, gentlemen?
And I think the next slide gives you some reasons. Sorry, so here exactly what I explained. Just some bullets, the key parts of why.
Thank you. Gentlemen, if there's no further questions, I will entertain a motion. Mr. Duretzi.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would move that minor variance application A060/21 at 57 King Road be approved, subject to the conditions in the city's staff report.
Moved by member Duretzi, seconded by member Gossi. All in favor? I see 3 hands. It's approved. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Our next application is application B017/21 at 21 Long Hill Drive. Do we have any additional correspondence on this application?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we received a TRCA comment letter October 21st, 2021, and finance comment and conditions October 26th, 2021.
Thank you. And our applicant.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Nicole Samponia from State View Homes. The application before you this evening is a consent application for 21 Long Hill Drive. Jamie, can I ask you to just pull up my presentation very quickly? I'll be very brief. You could just scroll down to the second page, please. So as you can see from the air photo, this is one of the last remaining larger lots in the area. The majority of them have, over the past few years, been severed. You can go to the next slide and I'll explain the application. As it was mentioned in the staff report, a zoning bylaw amendment was approved by council in 2018. It was to facilitate the consent of this property. So you can see it's to create two lots with frontages of 16 meters and in a total lot area, I think they're just over 1,000 square meters. I've reviewed the conditions in the staff report and I find them acceptable. Just so you know, we're not proposing any variances for this application, so we'll comply with the R6 zone standards. And if you want to scroll down to the last page, I just included a rendering of what could be possibly built on this site. I don't have anything further to add unless there's some comments. I also included some lot statistics if anyone cared to look at that. But other than that, I'll leave it at that. I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you very much. Does anyone in the audience wish to address this application at 21 Long Hill Drive?
Mr. Chair, we have none.
And do we have any further comments from our planning department?
No further comments, Mr. Chair.
And gentlemen, comments, questions, concerns? In that case, I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Gossi. Your microphone is muted. There you go.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to raise a motion for the approval of item D, consent application B017/21 at 21 Long Hill Drive, subject to conditions in the city staff report.
Moved by member Gossi, seconded by member Duretzi. All in favor? It's approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too. You as well. Thank you. And Madam Secretary, I'm assuming you'll let us know when we can carry on with other business.
I will. I'll be right back.